Hi, Phil Aston here from Now Spinning Magazine with another unboxing video, and this time it is The Runaways. Neon Angels on the Road to Ruin from 1976 to 1978. 2 years, 24 months, that's all, and 5 albums appeared. So let's have a look inside the box and I'll give you a summary of what I think in a few moments. This is The Runaways, Neon Angels on the Road to Ruin, 1976 to 1978. Gosh, just 2 years. Clamshell box, cherry red records. There's 5 CDs in here. So as I open them up, and as I normally do, we'll do the booklet last. There's no gatefold sleeves, and I don't think anything but the first one was a gatefold sleeve. So this is the first album. All the pictures on the back and the fonts are the same. That's the first album. Next one, Queens of Noise. I think this was a single album, so it's only the first one that had a gatefold. The live one, as I say that, I realise I'm incorrect, because Live in Japan was also a gatefold sleeve. So that's also in a single card cover. And then Waiting for the Night. And now The Runaways, the final album. And the booklet. This has some of the outtakes from the centre of the first album cover, but the actual gatefold isn't there. Great essay, lots of memorabilia from the time, lots of little shots of the singles. Some of these are probably from the album covers as well, but I thought this is a great booklet, because that's probably the centre of the Japanese gatefold. So all the pictures are included. The story is really good, very detailed. The band have been involved, and then you've got the credits for each album. And then the mastering at the back all says where the tracks were licensed from, mastering from Simon Murphy at Another Planet Music. So that is The Runaways, Neon Angels on the Road to Ruin. So that's The Runaways, 1976 to 1978. Neon Angels on the Road to Ruin. 5 CD set going through all of the albums, including the live one. There are no extra tracks, no bonus tracks. So if you already have all of these, you don't need to go here, okay? So I'm not telling you it's essential, but if you only have 1 or 2 of their albums, or you want to know what the fuss was about, yes, it's different kettle of fish. What's interesting to me, listening to these albums now, the only one I had before was the first album on vinyl, which I bought at the time, I think because of all the kind of interest. The Runaways, being a all-female rock band, was quite a news story. And I'm not quite sure in the way that the marketing was done, if there was some kind, well, there wasn't there? Some exploitative stuff going on behind the scenes here. And I think, what's the name of the guy? Kim Fowley. I'm not sure if his intent was honourable either in how he did this, and he was involved heavily with the first 2 albums. And I think also with the first album, there's a feel that Cherry Bomb, which went on to become seen as an absolute classic kind of glam rock punk track, I think they spent more time producing that track than they did the others. And so I kind of filed it away. And also the fact on the back cover, it mentions how old they all are, 16, 17, etc. But what's interesting playing it now is actually how authoritative the music is. The first 2 albums have got this kind of garagey, punky feel. And if these albums had come out in 1972, 73, 74, I think the band would have been bigger than they were, because they were kind of channeling this kind of Slade, T-Rex, mud in places, hard rock pop singles, whereas they were kind of positioned as being like a heavy metal band coming out of that point. And then, of course, punk was about to explode in the UK, so they kind of dialed up that section as well with Joan Jett, who was obviously the punk star of the band, and Lita Ford was the metal star of the band. What's also interesting is how much the musicianship changes in real time. And I'm not just saying this because it's the Runaways. I mean, you could say Richie Blackmore from Book of a Talisman into In Rock changed a lot. But the musicianship, especially Lita Ford's guitar playing, the way that she changes throughout these albums is is absolutely stunning. It really is. The first album, as I said, I knew quite well. Queens of Noise, I didn't know that well. I just missed out. And this is what's so good about these box sets. It gives you a chance to catch up. And there's been double CDs of compilations and stuff. But this is, I think, the first time all of the Runaways albums have been available to get in one foul swoop. And Neon Angels of the Road to Ruin, which is what the box set's named after, Take It or Leave It, Midnight Music, Born to be Bad, and Johnny Guitar, which was written by Kim Fowley and Lita Ford, is 7 minutes long, and it's where Lita Ford lets rip on the guitar, really. And I think it's an interesting, there's so much reverb on this. You could open a reverb factory. But it's interesting how the band's developing. The songwriting, there's more punky stuff from Joan, more rock stuff from Lita. But the band are still finding their feet. Vocally, you can see where Girl School went to. And I think on the second album, there's no exploitative aspects of the artwork at all. And I think that they were trying to shift towards being seen as more kind of serious musicians. But it works really, really well. As you've seen, there's a great booklet in this. And the live album, I guess my thoughts on the live album were that, wow, it's great recording, it's great rock music. Vocally, the vocals need to be higher up in the mix, and you can tell that the youth of the sound of the band, of the vocals and the backing vocals as they all join in to sing, and also the audience sound. The audience are a young, a young audience. This is a band that predates baby metal by decades. But it makes you wonder whether this band, the Runaways, sowed the seeds for what was to come decades later. I remember this was available on import. It wasn't very easy to find, Gatefold Sleeve, which is included in the booklet. It's a great live album. The next one is Waiting for the Night, which is where Cherry Curry has left the band. And it's very punky. I think Joan's influence here is being dialed up. It's a very raw sound. It's kind of X-ray specs in places, the vocals and some of the albums. It made me realise, actually, at the time, because I was there, I saw them as a rock band. That's how I saw them. Listening to the albums now, they were very much leaning towards being a punk band. The music was raw, unpolished, garage punk metal, and Joan Jett was really her influence was really amongst this. I can see why Lita would be thinking, I'm not going to be going in this direction. She was going in more hard rock metal side, but it sounds more punk now than it did back then. And the last one, and now the Runaways, is probably the weakest of the albums in this box. And obviously, I suppose that makes sense because this is where they bailed out. And you've got covers of Slade songs, etc. And it sounds like they weren't quite sure where to go. And I think that, you can see why, as I say, you can see why this was going to be the end of the line for them. It's got some great moments. I'm not going to say it hasn't. But out of the 5 albums, it's probably the one that is the weakest. However, musically, it's probably the best. And that's what I think that's what's so exciting to me about when you get something like this, is that, and again, think back, when musicians having the chance to be in a band and all you do is play guitar, drums, bass, whatever, piano, and you're writing, you're going into the studio, you're playing live, and when you're not doing that, you're practicing and you're practicing and you're practicing. I think that's one of the things that playing all these tracks back to back is how all of them, all the musicians were getting better and better and better. And, you can see there's lots of bands where you can play an album from 10 years to 15 years later and it just sounds like them. But this is like in real time. The musicianship, the guitar solos, the structures, the arrangements were improving all of the time. And of course, I say Joan and Lita especially went on and had huge careers after this, having learned their chops and paid their dues in the Runaways. So that is out now on Cherry Red Records. and say if you want to know more about the band, this is a great place to jump in. It really, really is. It sounds great, no extra tracks, but it sounds fantastic. So remember, as I say, music is the healer and the doctor. Please subscribe, become a patron or YouTube member. Keep spinning those discs, and I shall see you on my next video.